Lunch break lies by noon, the site had settled into a rhythm steel clanged. Drills whined, and the air smelled like sweat, concrete dust, and burnt coffee. But beneath the surface, tension simmered. Rico watched the crew from the scaffolding, eyes narrowed. The blueprint theft had rattled everyone. Even Chuck had stopped pretending everything was fine, though he still clutched his clipboard like it was a holy relic. Down below, Maya was holding court at the food truck, surrounded by half the crew and a suspiciously chatty vendor named Tito. "So you're telling me," Maya said, pointing a burrito at him, "you saw someone in a Titan-build jacket last night?" Tito shrugged. "Could have been. I don't ask questions. I serve tacos." "You serve gossip," Rico muttered, joining them. "And you're good at it." Tasha arrived, wiping grease from her gloves. "I checked the vault shaft. Someone's been down there recently." "Fresh boot prints, not ours." Dale, pale and twitchy, leaned in. "What if it's Ghost? What if he's not dead?" Maya snorted. "You think a skeleton climbed out of the concrete and stole our blueprints?" "I think someone wants us to believe that," Rico said. "And it's working." "All right, so Tito, the taco truck guy, finally caved and let me look inside his truck. I wasn't really sure what I expected to find. Maybe some secret family recipe for his amazing salsa, but what I found was way more interesting. Tucked away under the passenger seat was a stack of receipts, a cheap burner phone, and a manila folder with client notes scrawled on the front. I held it up. "Why does a taco guy have client notes?" I asked him. Tito just shrugged, trying to act all casual. "I cater to a lot of the developers from the construction site," he said. "They talk. I listen." He made it sound so simple, but I had a feeling it was anything but. I opened the folder. Inside, it was filled with pages of hastily scribbled notes. They were like little snippets of conversations he'd overheard. I started reading them out loud. Titan never died. Chuck's not clean. Vault equals leverage. What did any of that even mean? Rico grabbed the folder from my hand, his eyes scanning the pages faster than I could. "This isn't just gossip, Maya," he said, his voice low. "This is intel. Tito's been collecting dirt on the whole construction project." Tasha, who had been quiet until now, frowned. "But why? What's the point?" That was the million-dollar question, wasn't it? I looked from the folder to Rico's intense expression, and then back to Tito, who was suddenly very busy cleaning his grill. A thought started to form in my mind, a puzzle piece clicking into place. "Because someone's paying him to," I said. It was the only thing that made sense. This wasn't just about eavesdropping for fun. This was a job. "And I'm willing to bet," I added, looking straight at Tito, "that it's not for the salsa." The way he avoided my gaze told me everything I needed to know. This whole thing was way bigger than a missing hard hat. We had stumbled into a web of secrets. And Tito, the friendly neighborhood taco guy, was right in the middle of it. The question now was, who was pulling the strings? We had to find out. The air by the tool shed was thick with unspoken words. Rico finally cornered Chuck, his voice low but sharp, cutting through the hum of the construction site. "You worked for Titan, didn't you?" Chuck's whole body went rigid. He tried to keep his expression neutral, but his shoulders gave him away, bunching up towards his ears. "Briefly," he clipped out, his eyes darting towards the exit. "That was before the collapse." He wiped a bead of sweat from his temple, leaving a smear of dust in its place. Rico took a step closer, closing the small gap between them. He wasn't letting this go. "And you knew about the vault." It wasn't a question. It was a statement, an accusation hanging heavy in the air. The word vault seemed to echo, a ghost from a past they both shared but refused to acknowledge. Chuck's gaze fell to the gravel at his feet. He kicked at a loose stone, his face a mask of old guilt. "I didn't bury anyone," he muttered, his voice barely a whisper. The denial was weak, hollow. "I just followed orders. That's all. I did what I was told." The silence stretched, filled only by the distant clang of metal on metal. Rico's patience was wearing thin. He needed a name, a direction, someone to hold responsible for the nightmare that haunted his waking moments. Whose? He pressed the single word loaded with a demand for justice. Chuck just shook his head, his lips pressed into a tight, thin line. He wouldn't speak the name. He didn't have to. The fear in his eyes, the way he flinched at the question, it was an answer in itself. His silence was a confession, pointing to a power so great, so terrifying that even years later, the mere thought of it was enough to keep a man's mouth shut. Rico now knew his target wasn't just a person. It was a shadow that loomed over them all. The real work was just beginning. Thanks for watching. If you're enjoying this story, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what happens next. See you in the next chapter.